Highschool DxD Volume 1 Diablos of the Old School Building. It's the same color as her hair. As I stared at my blood-stained hand, that was all I could think of. Red, a deeper, richer crimson than your usual strawberry blonde. Yes, her long, beautiful, crimson hair was the same, brilliant color as the blood now coating my hand. Life.0. I'm in my second year of high school and enjoying the springtime of my youth. I honestly can't say just how recognizable I am, but every now and then, someone will call out, "Hey, isn't that Issei?" Maybe that's got you thinking I'm incredibly popular. I'm not. I have a reputation for lechery, so much so that I've even been accused of trying to peep into the changing room of the girls' kendo club. I would never do anything so shameful. Well, actually, I was there in the storeroom next to the changing room. And I did try to catch a glimpse through a hole in the wall. I wasn't able to see anything, though. I mean, Matsuda and Motohama wouldn't get out of the damn way. I had to put up with those two as they got themselves all worked up. "Whoa, look at Murayama's breasts. They're huge," one of them would exclaim while the other drooled, saying, "Keitei's sure has great legs." There's no way I didn't want to peep on that. Before I even had a chance, we heard footsteps approaching the storeroom, so we had to make our escape. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, happiness came flying right into the arms of this perverted second year.
Will you go out with me?
A confession from a girl. For a guy like me, who had never had a girlfriend before, it was a breath of fresh air. I was ready to taste the complicated flavors of adolescence. My first ever girlfriend, Yuma Amano, a slender girl with silky, jet black hair. She was so cute. I fell head over heels in love with her at first sight. I mean, wouldn't you jump at the opportunity if an incredible beauty came running your way, calling out, "Hyoto, I love you. Will you go out with me?" Given my history with the opposite sex and how long I had been waiting to get a girlfriend, this situation was beyond my wildest dreams. You might think that sounds like a dating sim, but it really happened. It was a miracle. A beautiful young woman actually confessed her love to me. Honestly, I thought it was a prank at first. I couldn't help but wonder whether Yuma's friends had put her up to it, as revenge for something I'd done. They could have been hiding out of sight, watching us. Can you blame me? Up until that moment, I'd always believed I'd been born under some unlucky star, forever doomed to lack that certain appeal. However, from that day on, I had a girlfriend. My world had changed. I don't know how to explain it, but I had found my place on this planet. I wanted to charge down the corridors, calling out "I've finally done it" to everyone I passed. I started pitying my girlfriend-less buddies, Matsuda and Motohama. That was just how generous of heart I had become. So Yuma and I became a couple, and the day of our first date quickly arrived. The time had come to put the plan I had laid out way back when into action. Heh, I must have brushed my teeth a dozen times the night before. There wasn't a speck of plaque left to be found. I even bought new underwear. You never know what might happen. My whole life had been in anticipation of this moment, after all. I arrived at the meeting place 3 whole hours ahead of Yuma and waited. To pass the time, I counted the number of girls in glasses who went by. Result: over 100. After a while, some weirdo handed me a suspicious leaflet. "Your wish is granted," it read, complete with an occult-looking magic circle. I wanted to throw it away but couldn't afford to leave our meeting place, so I stuffed it into my pocket. At last, Yuma finally arrived. Good timing. I just got here myself, I called to her. Bullseye. I'd always wanted to say that. We held hands while we walked. The whole thing was pretty moving. I was on a date, strolling hand in hand with my gorgeous girlfriend. Really, I was so touched, I felt like I was going to break into tears. Don't rush it, I warned myself. This wasn't the time to get cocky. From there, we made the most of our first date. Yuma and I checked out a few clothing stores, had a look at some home decor, that sort of thing. We had lunch together in a chain restaurant, just like your typical high school couple. Yuma seemed to really enjoy her chocolate parfait. I was having my fill just watching her. Ah, so this was how other teenagers felt when they went out on dates. This was living. Mom, thanks for giving birth to me. Dad, I admit I was afraid I wouldn't be able to keep the family line going, but you don't have to worry about that anymore. Before I knew it, one of the staff came to tell us it was getting late. I had almost reached the climax. A kiss. A goodbye kiss. So much blood was pumping into my head, I thought it might explode. Maybe I could even take this to the next level. Can you blame me for such thoughts? I'm a high schooler at the height of my budding sexuality. At dusk, we went to a park on the outskirts of town. It wasn't a particularly popular area. There was no one there but us. Maybe that's why my mind kept going to dirty places. Should I have better prepared myself by reading more erotic how-to guides? Before I could do anything, Yuma let go of my hand and walked up to the fountain.
I had fun today,
she said with a smile, the fountain behind her. Whoa! She was already super cute, but damn, with her back to the sunset, it was almost like a movie or something.
You know, Issei.
What is it, Yuma?
I want to do something to commemorate our first date. Could you do me a favor?
This was it. You know, I was ready for anything. What else could she have been talking about? My breath check. I was prepared. My heart was racing. What kind of favor? My voice was a little high. Yuma was going to know I was having dirty thoughts. I had come so far, only to slip up in the most idiotic way imaginable. But Yuma just smiled back at me graciously. Then, with her voice loud and clear, she said,
Could you die for me?
Huh? What? Sorry, could you say that again? I think there's something wrong with my ears. I must have misheard. Yes, I was mistaken, obviously. That's why I asked her to repeat herself. And yet.
Could you die for me?
Yuma asked again, her innocent voice still as clear as it had been a second ago. It didn't make any sense. I forced a smile and was about to tell her how funny a joke it was when a pair of huge, black wings burst out of Yuma's back. They beat back and forth violently, and a jet-black feather came flitting through the air to land at my feet. What on earth was going on? I mean, Yuma might have been as sweet as an angel, but this? A real angel? No way. Was this some kind of act, then? My beautiful girlfriend now had black wings beating behind her. It was like something straight out of a fantasy. But I didn't believe in that kind of thing. Yuma's cute, adorable eyes had become frighteningly cold.
Although short-lived, playing innocent and lovey-dovey with you these past few days has been fun.
Yuma's tone was like ice, her rich voice now that of an adult. The corners of her mouth curled up in a faint smile. A heavy sound shook the air. It was reminiscent of a game console booting up but deeper, weightier. It was so loud, my ears throbbed with a low ringing. That's when it appeared in her hands. A long, slender spear. Wait, was it glowing? The thing looked like it was made of light. That was no normal weapon. There was the sound of something tearing through the air, followed by a dull. At first, it just felt like something grazing my stomach, but Yuma's weapon pierced me right through. She had thrown the spear at me. Wait, hold on a second. Why? I tried to pull it out, but the blade disappeared into thin air. All that was left was a gaping, bleeding hole in my abdomen. Blood surged from the wound. My head was growing dizzy, my vision blurring. Before I realized it, my legs had given way, and I fell to the ground. Footsteps approached, one after another. Yuma's faint voice reached my ears.
Sorry. Your existence poses a threat to us, you see. We had to take care of you quickly. If you want to blame someone, blame God for giving you that sacred gear in the first place.
Sacred what? In my present state, I couldn't even form the words. The footsteps faded away into the distance. At the same time, I was starting to lose consciousness. The gaping hole in my stomach, it had to be fatal, but somehow, it didn't hurt. Still, I knew I wasn't in a good way, given that I could literally feel myself slipping into unconsciousness. The temptation to crawl away and fall into a deep sleep was high, but if I did, I knew I would never wake up. Seriously. I was only a second-year high school student. I wasn't ready to die. I hadn't even lived half my life yet. This was pathetic. I was about to give up the ghost all because my girlfriend had stabbed me in some park. Ugh. My consciousness was waning by the second. It felt like all these parts inside me were disappearing. I wondered what school was going to be like tomorrow. Would Matsuda and Motohama be shocked by my death? Would they mourn for me? To think they might be the only ones who would care enough to shed a tear. Mom, Dad. I won't be able to look after you in your old age. This was no laughing matter. What would my parents think if they found all those erotic magazines I had hidden in my room after I was gone? Damn it, why was that all I could think about when I was on the brink of death? My hands, I could still move them. I reached down to my stomach, then lifted my hand back up in front of my face. Red my blood. My whole hand was red with my blood. That's when I remembered her. The image of a young woman floated up into my vision. She was a crimson-haired beauty. Every time I laid eyes on her, my gaze was inexplicably drawn to her brilliant hair. If I was going to die, why couldn't it have been in the arms of someone like her? I felt a pang of guilt, as if I was cheating on my girlfriend, Yuma. Hold on. Yuma was the one who'd practically signed my death warrant. If I really was gonna go, I wish it could have been after I'd had a chance to feel her up. Even my imminent death wasn't enough to put an end to my perverted fantasies. Everything was going dark. Was this finally the end? Damn it, I had lived a pretty boring life. If I got the chance to be reborn, I would.
Are you the one who called me?
All of a sudden, a figure appeared before me. I couldn't tell who it was, with how blurry my vision had become.
You're dying. Your wound. Oh. Interesting. You must be. Yes, very interesting.
Whoever it was began to chuckle, as if finding the whole situation rather amusing. What exactly was so funny about this?
Seeing as you're about to die anyway, I'll take you for my own. From this moment onward, you will live your life for me.
The last thing I saw before I finally passed out was crimson hair.